At 5:17 hours, central Persian Gulf, 46 nautical miles south of Keshem Island, dawn haze rests flat on the water. An A-10C circles at 14,000 feet, engines steady, radios quiet. Then the entire radar picture tears open. Inside the E-2D Hawkeye orbiting farther south, the scope blooms with new tracks, first 18, then 44, then 127, then 200 confirmed Iranian fighter signatures lifting from Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, Shiraz, and tactical strips along the coast. The revelation moves through Link 16 in seconds, F-14As, MiG-29s, F-4Es, Su-24 strike aircraft tucked behind the fast movers. The A-10 call sign Reaper 1 is suddenly the forward-most American aircraft in the battle space. The carrier group tactical action officer does not raise his voice. He does not need to. He orders immediate expansion of the engagement envelope, electronic attack authorization, and contingency maritime fires. The calm vanishes. The geometry becomes lethal. At 05:18 hours, Reaper 1 receives the first threat calls. Iranian fire control radars snap active from the mainland. Search beams sharpen into tracking beams. The A-10 pilot banks hard west and drops to 9,000 feet, nose down, building speed the airframe was never designed to chase. Above him, two FA-18E Super Hornets break from barrier combat air patrol and light afterburners. An EA-18G Growler opens the electronic fight. NGJ pods saturate the spectrum, jamming acquisition radars and corrupting data links. The Hawkeye's controllers sort the incoming mass by speed and vector. One package drives south toward the Warthog, another bends toward the carrier group, a third remains high, waiting. Reaper 1 arms AGM-65 Mavericks and the GAU-8A. Unusual loadout, unusual mission. The A-10 is no longer only surviving, it is shaping the fight. At 05:20 hours, the first missiles leave Iranian rails at 38 nautical miles. Infrared plumes flash against the morning haze. The call comes clean across the net. Missiles away. Time to merge. 73 seconds. The Super Hornets climb and turn hot. APG-79 radars painting targets through clutter. AM-120D launches follow in pairs, then another pair, then another. White spears rise and vanish. Impact in 22 seconds. Two Iranian jets disappear from the scope. A third breaks apart, tumbling flame. The Growler keeps pouring noise into the battle space, forcing Iranian pilots to rely on onboard radars and visual cues. That costs them spacing. It costs them formation discipline. Reaper 1 descends again, now 6,500 feet, threading below the first intercept geometry. A pair of MiG-29s tries to bracket him from starboard. The A-10 rolls, flares, and drags one missile wide. The second passes beneath the tail by less than 20 feet. No impact, no time to breathe. At 05:22 hours, the fight widens beyond the air picture. Coastal launchers on Keshem Island fire anti-ship missiles toward the U.S. Navy formation. Simultaneously, 24 Iranian fast attack craft surge from hidden inlets, sprinting into the shipping lanes with rockets and heavy machine guns. The carrier strike group responds in layers. USS Abraham Lincoln and her escorts launch SM-6 interceptors first, then ESSM Block 2 from forward cells as the sea-skimming tracks drop below the radar horizon. The destroyer screen pivots, hulls turning just enough to optimize arcs. On the flight deck, an MH-60R Seahawk goes feet wet immediately, sonar buoy rack loaded, Mark 54 torpedo slung for a submarine contact detected minutes earlier near the eastern approach. The war is now vertical and horizontal at once. Fighters above, cruise missiles inbound, fast boats charging, submarine threat below the thermal layer. The battle space becomes compressed. Every second matters. At 05:24 hours, Reaper 1 does something Iranian planners did not expect. Instead of retreating south, the A-10 drives northeast for 14 seconds, nose pointed toward the coast, baiting the nearest intercept package into a tighter pursuit cone. It is a dangerous maneuver. It is also a deliberate one. The tighter the cone, the easier the shot for the Super Hornets dropping from altitude. 3 more AIM-120Ds streak out. Direct hit, proximity burst. 4 Iranian aircraft vanish from the air picture, and the formation behind them splinters. Reaper 1 snaps left, acquires a coastal radar vehicle that has remained active too long, and releases an AGM-65 Maverick from 11.2 nautical miles. The missile rides its seeker straight into the emitter. Impact in 14 seconds. Direct hit. The Iranian engagement control radar collapses into smoke, and 2 anti-ship missiles already in flight lose mid-course updates. They wander. They descend. One crashes into open water. The other is finished by an ESSM at 5.8 nautical miles. At 05:26 hours, the range closes for everyone. Iranian fighters that survived the outer intercepts begin ripple-firing medium-range missiles from chaotic aspects. Missile launch warnings saturate cockpits. Reaper 1 takes fragments across the right wing after a near detonation. Hydraulic pressure dips, then stabilizes. The aircraft remains controllable. The pilot stays low, 3,200 feet now, skimming above morning glare. Behind him, the surface fight intensifies. U.S. Navy helicopters vector armed escorts toward the fast boats, while 5-inch guns from the outer screen begin deliberate fire. Two boats shatter. A third erupts into a fuel-fed fireball. Then the submarine contact sharpens. The MH-60R drops its first sonobuoy pattern, confirms a transient, and releases a Mark 54 torpedo. Run time: less than a minute. Beneath the surface, the torpedo acquires, turns, and detonates. The contact disappears. One undersea threat removed. The sky remains crowded with death. At 05:27 hours, the merge finally becomes a knife fight. Range collapses below 8 nautical miles. Iranian pilots press through the jamming, some blind, some desperate, all moving too fast for recovery. Reaper 1 climbs just enough to clear a crossing track and unleashes the GAU-8A at an attacking F-4E passing left to right at close range. The cannon does not chatter, it roars. A stream of depleted uranium rounds reaches through the haze and tears the Phantom open from intake to wing root. Debris rains into the Gulf. Another Iranian jet overshoots. A Super Hornet kills it with a short-range sidewinder. Missiles away. Impact in 4 seconds. Fireball. The carrier group now tracks 9 remaining inbound anti-ship weapons, some sea skimming, some weaving. Standard missiles have taken the long shots. ESSMs have taken the mid-range shots. The final layer comes alive. Phalanx CIWS mounts begin to turn. The sky erupted, 12 impacts, simultaneous detonations. At 05:28 hours, tracers, missile exhaust, and burning debris fuse into one blinding wall over the central Gulf. Phalanx CIWS spits 20mm streams at 4,500 rounds per minute, each burst lasting barely seconds, each burst decisive. One incoming missile is shredded at 1.3 nautical miles. A second disintegrates at 900 yards. A third survives just long enough to slash the water beside an escort, showering the deck with metal and spray, but failing to penetrate the hull. Damage, superficial. Combat capability intact. Above, the air duel reaches saturation. 14 Iranian aircraft attempt simultaneous shots from multiple altitudes. The response is brutal and mathematical. 2 Super Hornets bracket the high group. Another pair commits low. The Growler keeps the electronic ceiling in place. Reaper 1 remains in the center of it all. Hit, but still maneuvering, still transmitting. The A-10 pilot marks hostile vectors and passes visual identifications to the airborne controllers with clipped, precise calls. That information saves seconds. Seconds become kills. 3 MiG-29s descend on the Warthog from the northeast. One fires too early, one loses lock in the jamming. The third presses closest. Reaper 1 breaks hard left, flares, then reverses into a descending spiral the heavier fighter cannot match without overshoot. The MiG crosses the nose. The GAU-80A opens again, 50 rounds, then 70. The MiG erupts in fragments and fuel mist. Another Iranian aircraft flashes through the debris field and collides with a wingman trying to evade an AMRAAM. 2 more tracks gone. Surface action peaks at the same moment. 17 fast attack craft are now within rocket range of commercial traffic lanes. U.S. destroyers and embarked helicopters cut them apart methodically. Hellfire launches from rotary wing escorts. 5-inch rounds crash down with crushing overpressure. Boats vaporized. Hulls split. Men thrown into burning water. By the 6th minute of open combat, 11 fast boats are destroyed. 4 are disabled, and the survivors are scattering north at maximum throttle. The numbers become stark. 29 Iranian aircraft destroyed or rendered combat ineffective in the first main exchange. 7 anti-ship missiles intercepted at long and medium range. 3 more eliminated by CIWS. 1 submarine neutralized. 17 surface craft removed from the fight. U.S. losses remain astonishingly light. 1 escort with superficial topside damage. 2 sailors injured by shrapnel. 1 Super Hornet peppered by fragments but flyable. 1 A-10 badly scarred and still airborne. Then comes the final violent compression. At 05:29 hours, a last coordinated Iranian push tries to break through from the east. 8 fighters low, 6 high, 4 trailing as missile carriers. The response is immediate. The Super Hornets fire first. The destroyer SPY radar feeds targeting to another interceptor launch. Reaper 1, nearly out of safe maneuvering margin, stays in the stack and drags 2 hostile fighters into the teeth of the trap. 4 impacts in 9 seconds. Another aircraft spirals down smoking. Another simply vanishes from the radar picture. The rest turn away. The attack has broken. 11 minutes after initial contact, silence begins to return in layers. Not peace, not safety, just the sudden absence of concentrated violence. At 05:30 hours, damage assessment starts while wreckage is still falling. Reaper 1 reports right-wing perforation, stabilizer scoring, and minor hydraulic loss, but no fire, no loss of flight controls, no pilot injury. Recovery tanker support is moved forward. A rescue helicopter launches anyway, not because the A-10 is down, but because every commander in the battle space understands how close it came. On the surface, medical teams treat 2 wounded sailors for lacerations and concussion. No American ship is mission killed. No American aircraft is lost. The rescue phase shifts quickly to maritime recovery and battle space sanitation. U.S. helicopters mark debris fields. Life rafts appear among patches of burning fuel. Iranian survivors are visible in the water near shattered fast attack craft. Some are recovered when tactically feasible. Others drift beyond the immediate operating area as the formation prioritizes continued air defense. The sea is crowded with fragments: fins, panels, insulation, charred flotation gear, torn aluminum. 20 minutes earlier, it was an empty dawn. The final count remains provisional, then firms. 34 Iranian aircraft destroyed or mission killed. 17 fast attack craft sunk. 4 disabled. 1 submarine contact neutralized with a Mark 54 kill assessment deemed highly probable, later upgraded to confirmed. 10 anti-ship missiles intercepted. U.S. losses, 0 dead, minimal damage. Full control of the battle space retained. 11 minutes after initial contact, silence. The tactical lessons were immediate. Mass alone no longer guarantees penetration when sensor fusion, electronic warfare, and layered fires operate as a single organism. Iranian planners had attempted to overwhelm a comparatively small American forward package by compressing domains, air, surface, and subsurface, into one synchronized ambush. On paper, the arithmetic looked intimidating. In execution, the architecture failed. Too many aircraft entered a jammed battle space without clean separation. Too many missile shots relied on vulnerable coastal radar nodes. Too many surface elements exposed themselves before the anti-ship volleys had opened a corridor. The result was not saturation, it was traffic. Deadly, expensive, disorganized traffic. Strategic ramifications cascaded across the region before the smoke had cleared. Commercial shippers saw the immediate message first. The main traffic artery remained open under fire. Gulf capitals saw something more consequential. The U.S. Navy had defended both a strike group and civilian sea lanes while simultaneously managing an airborne crisis built around a slow, heavily burdened, close air support aircraft. That matters. It demonstrates that survivability in modern conflict is no longer a property of speed alone. It is a property of networked lethality, shared tracks, distributed shooters, disciplined command timing, and layered defensive doctrine executed without hesitation. This engagement fundamentally reshaped one persistent assumption about regional escalation. For years, analysts debated whether a dense, multi-axis Iranian opening move could create enough confusion to fracture American decision cycles in the first 10 minutes. Here, the opposite occurs. The Iranian launch compresses options for itself. Every additional axis creates another signature, another target queue, another timing dependency vulnerable to disruption. Once the Growler degrades the electromagnetic picture and the Hawkeye stabilizes the track file, mass becomes exposure. The more Iran commits, the more it reveals. There is also the A-10 factor, the part Tehran almost certainly did not calculate correctly. Reaper 1 is supposed to be the vulnerable symbol in this scenario, a low-altitude attack aircraft, too slow for contested airspace, too visible, too isolated. Instead, it becomes the hinge. The Warthog forces geometry. It survives long enough to pull fighters out of disciplined lanes, destroys a coastal radar node with an AGM-65 Maverick at a critical moment, and remains a functioning sensor reporting participant while absorbing punishment that would cripple many sleeker aircraft. That does not mean the A-10 becomes an air superiority platform. It means aircraft value in war is situational, and under the right command architecture, even a supposedly exposed platform can become operationally decisive. Regional reactions follow predictable lines, but the doctrinal impact runs deeper than public statements. Naval staffs will study the sequencing. Airborne interceptors first, shipboard missiles second, close-in systems last, rotary wing anti-surface and anti-submarine actions integrated throughout. Air forces will study the failure of dense fighter packages operating through electronic degradation without resilient command and control. Strategic planners will study the timing. 11 minutes. That is all it took for an attempted shock action to reverse into a demonstration of American defensive overmatch. In military history, some engagements alter territory, others alter calculations. This one alters calculations. It tells every observer in the region that time, not just firepower, now belongs to the side that can see first, share fastest, and shoot in disciplined layers. The strait remains open not through negotiation, but through demonstrated capability.